What's happening, fam? L.A.R movement still moving. Okay, this is gonna be a little bit of black history. Let me explain to you the difference between black and white. I'm gonna call this blog Fred Hampton versus Frank White. We can call this blog um, Freeway Ricky Ross versus Oliver North. We can call this blog let's see, Alexander the Great versus Hannibal. We can call this blog a lot of fucking things. But I'm gonna start with the first one. Fred Hampton, one of the founders of the Black Panther Party in Chicago, murdered by the police. Guy dimed him out, got him killed by the police. Fred Hampton wasn't a criminal. He was an activist. He wanted to see the betterment of the black community, which most of the Panthers were. And if you don't know what the Panthers were stood for then, you just don't know your history. The thing about it is, on the west side of Chicago, when I grew up, he had a center on Fifth Avenue. A community center, it was empty, like nobody went to it after a while. So I don't know if it's still there. But my point is this. He's an activist. He's a great man. He got killed by the police. And somebody diming him out. Federal FBI was involved, all kinds of shit. Now, so that center's on Fifth Avenue. The high school is on First Avenue. I would say five blocks behind the high school is the house of Frank White. Now, Frank White was Al Capone's right-hand man. Now, Al Capone is looked at as a legend and a hero, really, in America. Like, when people say Al Capone, they have some kind of reverence to that sick fuck. But it's like, Al Capone. See, people talk about Fred Hampton, they don't say shit like that. Don't say shit like that about, Stokely Carmichael or Huey Newton. It's not the same reverence. My point is, the same police department that shot up Fred Hampton is the same police department that would let Frank White do whatever the fuck he wants. That's the guy who Al Capone's right hand man was, who got a gun license from the mayor on a card. Yeah, you can carry a gun in Chicago. Thank you very much. You're a murderer, but who gives a shit? You got money and you're white. Considered white at that time, because it's Italian. I believe he's Italian. And people change their names to fit in with the race, so I'm off on that. Capone, Italian for sure. But that's my point. He had a nice house. Nice, big, glorious house in a nice neighborhood, nice manicured lawn. Treated like it was a fucking landmark. But it was it's a quarter mile behind the black neighborhood, behind the high school. A quarter mile in front of the high school is a Fred Hampton Center. Question, do you understand the quality of life of these two guys were completely different? This guy's looked at with reverence, and he's a fucking murderer and a drug dealer, which, by the way, the Panthers went down, and drugs was just barraged into the black community. So if that kind of person can live a quarter mile away and have a nice, glorious house, and this kind of person who want to clean up the community get murdered by the cops, that's the point I just made. Do I have to make any more points? I doubt it. You want some black history? I'll give you some more black history. Deacons of Defense. Look them up. When people think about the marches, Selma, Montgomery, people just think of Martin Luther King and people march. Well, the Deacons of Defense were old veterans who, at sometimes were pastors who would get sick of people beating up people along the way and Klan members and rednecks and just racist folks doing shit to people while they're on the marches. And they would, take their guns and be security on those marches. Which is kind of the backdrop for the Panthers. Really is. So, thank you, Deacons of Defense. Same thing when I was talking about Freeway Ricky Ross and Oliver North. Freeway Ricky Ross was a drug dealer. Oliver North was a drug dealer. Ricky Ross came from the ghetto. Oliver North was a Army Lieutenant General. He was high-ranking Army official. Ricky Ross goes to jail, goes broke. Oliver North, wow. Matter of fact, I'm gonna show you how crazy this is. I did a blog earlier about Christopher Dorton. That's the guy who's a former police officer who, they're looking for now, who killed a few people because he got kicked off the LAPD. The irony of that is this. I'm flicking through the channels because I want to see what's going on. Turn on Fox News. Yeah, I know. They got Mark fucking Furman trying to break down this guy mentally. Now look at the irony of that. The old LAPD officer who was notoriously known for the OJ trial called him nigga every 2 seconds and let's get this nigga. Shit, he was sounding like fucking Lil Wayne. But he wants to break down what this black man is doing. And they just on the TV excluding the fact who the fuck Mark Furman really is because they figure most people, stupid and don't know who he is or forgot who he was or something like that. That's the irony of what's going on nowadays. That was a little extra rant. I'm out of here.